Hello. In this video we will look at how to find least common denominator. In this example we have to find least common denominator of 7 out of 6x to the second and 2 out of 9x. We begin by factoring both denominators. The first one is 6x squared, and we have to list all of the factors of 6x squared, which are 6 can be rewritten as 2 times 3 in terms of prime numbers, and we have x to the second, which is x times x. The second denominator is 9x, which can be factored as 9 is 3 times 3, and we have one factor of x. The least common denominator consists of the least amount of factors needed to make each of the denominators. So to make first denominator, we need 2 times 3 to get a 6. In a second denominator, we have a 9, and to make a 9 out of 2 factors, we need 3 times 3. We already have 3 from the first denominator. We only need one more factor of 3 to make a 9. So 3 times 3 gives us 9, and 2 times 3 gives us 6 back. We also have x times x in the first denominator to make x squared, so we will need both of them. X times x will give us x squared back, and for the second denominator we just need 1x. It's already included in one of those x's, so 1x from the first denominator will account for 1x in the second denominator, and x times x will give us the x squared back. There is also a box method, so you list all of the denominators. So we have 6x squared and 9x, and you try to factor as much as possible from each of them. So 6x and 9x can both be divided by 3, so we can take out 3 on this step, and this gives us 6 divided by 3 is 2x squared. 9 divided by 3 gives us 3x. 2x squared and 3x can also be divided by x, and x will go on the outside, and this will reduce into 2x squared divided by x gives us 2x. 3x divided by x gives us 3. So from the factoring method we had least common denominator 2 times 3 times 3 times x times x. From the box method of division we have least common denominator of 3 times x times 2x times 3. So here we get 2 times 3 is 6 times 3 times x is x to the second, and our LCD is 6 times 3 is 18, x to the second. And in the second case we have least common denominator is equal to 3 times 2 is 6, x times x is x to the second times 3. So least common denominator is 6 times 3 is 18x to the second. When there are no pluses or minuses in denominators, using the box method might be a little bit more convenient without having to list all of the factors and then picking the most common ones. In this example, we need to find least common denominator of 7 out of 5x squared plus 15x and 9 out of x squared plus 6x plus 9. So if you wanted to use a box method to find the least common denominator for something like this, you would need to factor it first anyway. So finding LCD using factors is more convenient because you have to factor to begin with. So let's factor both denominators, and the first denominator is 5x to the second plus 15x. We only have two terms, but we can take out the greatest common factor. Both of these can be divided by 5, and both of these can be divided by x, and we get 5x times 5x squared divided by 5x, 5 and 5 will cancel. X squared divided by x, we will have only one factor of x left over, plus 15 divided by 5 is 3, x divided by x cancels into 1. So first denominator factors into 5x times x plus 3. Let's also factor the second denominator of x squared plus 6x plus 9. We begin by multiplying lead coefficient by the last number, so we have 1 times 9, and we get a product of 9. Now we list all of the factor pairs of 9. We have 1, 9, and 3 times 3 will give us 9 as well. Since the product is positive, we look for sum, and we need the sum of the middle term. The factor pair of 3 and 3 will add up to 6x, so we can rewrite 6x as 3x, positive 3x, plus 3x, and we keep everything else as is, x squared plus 3x plus 3x plus 9. Now we can factor by grouping. From the first two terms we can take out x, because x goes in evenly into x squared and into 3x. And whatever goes into the denominator goes on the outside. From the second pair of terms, we can take out 3, because 3 goes evenly into 3x and 9. And whatever goes into the denominator goes on the outside. 3 was positive, so we have plus 3. And we get x times x squared divided by x, we get an x, plus 3x divided by x, and we get a 3, plus 3 times 3x divided by 3, we get an x, plus 9 divided by 3 is 3. We can factor out the common factor of x plus 3 from here. So x plus 3 goes into the denominator, and x plus 3 goes on the outside. Something divided by itself will cancel, something divided by itself will cancel, and we have x plus 3 left over times x plus 3 that we have factored. So x squared plus 6x plus 9 factors into x plus 3 times x plus 3, or x plus 3 to the second power. To find least common denominator, we need to pick the least amount of factors needed to make each of the denominators. For the first denominator we need 5, we need an x, and we need a factor of x plus 3. For the second denominator, we need factor of x plus 3, which is already included, times one more factor of x plus 3. X plus 3 times x plus 3 will give us the second denominator, while 5x times x plus 3 will give us the first denominator. So our least common denominator is 5x times x plus 3 times x plus 3. That's all.